Alright, this is going to be the piece we are working on today. I got this piece from my best friend's boyfriend as they know what I've been up to with furniture flipping, and they kindly gave it to me for free, which is always the best. I'm starting this makeover by removing the hardware. These wooden knobs are almost always super easy to remove. I use my screwdriver to get them going, and from there I'm able to just twist them off with my hands. I'm taking all of the hardware off, including the one on the door. As I take the hardware off, I'm also removing the drawers so it's easier to paint afterwards. At this point, I'm not sure if I'm going to be keeping the hardware or replacing them, so I'm just setting them aside to think about it as I get further into the flip. After that's taken care of, I get my bucket of warm water and Dawn dish soap so I'm ready to clean. This piece is overall in amazing condition. It's just super dusty from sitting in the garage for quite a while. Because it's so dusty, I'm really making sure to take my time and get it all out of all the corners from top to bottom as well as the drawers. I'm also using a microfiber towel because that's what's really going to grab onto this dust. I'm also making sure to really get inside of that cubby on all the sides, the back, and the shelf itself because I am going to be keeping this natural and I want it to look really clean. Once I was done, I also made sure to go back and rinse my piece so the soap was off. Then I took a 220 grit sandpaper and scuffed up the surface to make sure it would be ready for paint. Right after, I took a paper towel to it so that there would be no dust left behind when I was ready to go in and paint. At this point, I'm usually preparing my primer, but today we are trying out a new paint. You guys have heard me rave about Melange paint, and I figured it was time to try out their one line. Today I'm using the color Mink Brown. The one line doesn't require any priming or top coating, which is going to make a quick and easy flip. But just because you don't have to prime or top coat, that doesn't mean you can skip the prep work you just saw me do. I noticed that this paint is a little bit thinner, but I do like that because then it moves further and little paint will go a long way. I'm really loving this color Mink Brown so far. It's kind of like a light brown, but also has some gray undertones that I really like, making it such a unique color. For these details, you see that I'm just trying to push the paint into the details, but I make sure to go back and catch any of the excess paint or places where the paint may drip, but it is kind of hard to get into those grooves, so you just want to make sure to take your time and really watch what you're doing. Now I thought I could just paint around the door, but it ended up being too much of a hassle, so I decided to take it off. I just used my screwdriver to unscrew everything from the door, and then I took the hinges off as well. This process is a lot easier than it seems. This was my first time and it went super smoothly. Once the door and the hinges were off, I got back to painting the first coat of mink brown. Of course, don't forget about the drawers. I finally decided I was going to be keeping the hardware. I just may or may not be doing something to change them up a bit. Otherwise, I would be using my wood filler right now to fill in the existing holes. I had to let the first coat dry for a couple hours, and then I was able to get into the second coat. I am absolutely loving how smooth the paint dried, so I didn't have to sand in between coats. For the feet of this dresser, I decided to twist them off and paint them that way. By laying newspaper down, it was much easier to access. Again, I had to let the paint dry on the feet for a couple hours, and I did have to do this twice because the feet also needed 2 coats, but then I was ready to put them back on. During this time, I also started to paint the door, but somehow lost the footage. Then we put the door back on and decided to leave the hardware as is, making this flip complete and ready for the final reveal.